Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. This week we're at Long Marston in sunny Warwickshire. It's a bit breezy, but with the size of these models it's well within what they can handle. It was mostly jets as usual these days. They are getting a bit more fun to watch though. The non-scale ones are really getting rather lively. But first, some props. One of these models was petrol powered and the other was electric. In terms of performance, there really wasn't anything to tell them apart. Of course, the electric sounded like a finely tuned egg whisk, but that's all personal preference. It might have been nice if I remembered to set the manual focus though. Unfortunately, DB Sound wasn't there due to a well-deserved retirement. He always used to give all the details of the models. They weren't always quite right, but they did sound good. Instead we have Nick Johnson, good name by the way. We last saw him some time ago at the Black Bush show. His favourite line by far was "Smoke on!" He has developed a few more now, and he does know how to G up the crowd. Okay, first jet, and we have some lovely copyrighted music that YouTube algorithms will no doubt pick up on. It does show quite nicely that the PA system was rather good though. You can clearly hear the music over the sound of the model, which is different, but I'm not entirely sure it's a good thing. It means I need to keep on talking over the video so I don't get a claim. Good choice though, a bit of Top Gun for the jets. Also, I don't think he could resist.
Smoke on, Dave.
Old phrases die hard. Here's the F-16 I do believe, coming into land. Again, I'm going to need to keep talking to try and cover up the music a bit. Luckily there's enough other noises it's getting drowned out. A very nice model, even with the breeze it was rock steady in the air. Cambrian Fun Fighters next, and no music. Just dogs having a chat. That does mean we can watch one of the T1 Fortunes come in for a nice landing.
Flighters out, you can hear them a mile off. Nice landing, that's Darren, right?
Yes, very nice. Back to the fighters that are now getting launched. Full throttle and a good heave from a dedicated human launcher. You have to know what you're doing at getting these little planes in the air. Too steep and they're going to stall. Too feeble and they're going to stall. The launch needs to be just right. Keeping these things in the frame is a bit tricky too. They're small and really rather fast. And best of all, they're very manoeuvrable. A great combination for performance, but not so great for filming. The sound of these angry two-strokes is great too. One of those things I'm really going to miss when electric inevitably fully takes over as the default power system. There is some music here, but it's so quiet I think we might get away with a little bit of the models buzzing around. Well, there's a side effect to all this hyperactive performance though. Sometimes they do get away from the pilots and become a re-kit. Here we have the engine out the front, the rest of the fuselage with the fuel tank and electronics hanging out, and the last bit is the slightly warped wing. An absolute textbook crash. The heavy bits slide down the tarmac and the little bits flutter to a stop. To land them you need some long grass as they don't have any undercarriage. The idea is to get the airspeed as low as possible and not quite stall it just as you go through the tops of the grass. It's easy to say, but in practice it's a bit more involved, and more often than not they go in a bit hot. They are pretty robust though, so they shrug it off. The next problem is actually finding the model. As soon as the last one goes down there's a rush to retrieve them before the next slot. Most of them are easy enough to spot, but there's always one that gets lost. They wandered around for a while, but I think they ended up having to leave it. Maybe they should pack one of those cheap drones with a little camera. Okay, here's another jet then. This time it's an English Electric Lightning, complete with the short wingspan, low airspeed wobble. These things always look like right pigs to fly. Pretty nippy though, bags of power. If you like doing high speed passes, the Lightning is a great model to go for. Might need a bit of practice on other easier to fly planes first though. Having said all that, the F-104 Starfighter would be even trickier to keep in the air. In some air forces it was known as the flying coffin, which doesn't exactly inspire confidence. We've got a bit of footage here where the noise of the jet has almost completely drowned out the PA and any music, so I'm going to shut up. And here we are on finals. You can see the struggle to keep it going in the right direction. It's really trying to drop a wing. Makes you wonder if it's got a gyro fitted. If it was switchable, it might make the landings that bit safer. But as neat as blazing around with fast jets is, I still prefer low and slow with a prop. Down near the stall and a slightly tail heavy balance, great fun. All the better for the proper engine. I'm not sure whose models these are, but they look like an air tractor of some sort. Quite large models, as most of the ones at shows are, but they looked really stable. My idea of a great model, kind of the aero equivalent of the Tamiya Pajero. Next we've got the old 100cc Horizon Beast X, discontinued some time ago, 89-inch span, so fairly large. Best bit though, no PA and quiet music, so I'll go and be quiet for a bit. Quite an impressive beastie. You can hear the wind in the audio, and keep in mind I've got a fairly well isolated mic up on top of the camera, complete with a large furry dead cat. The wind really did get up, but of course the pro pilots and large models do make it look easy, smooth landings nearly every time. Oh, and this was a B-roll clip, just randomly recording the Beast X getting dragged off, then suddenly something caught my eye, a colour-coded coffee mug on top of the wing of the pipe. You know you've got a big model when it's got its own cup holders. Next we've got some more jets. These ones are from Aero Sports. That's AZ Aero Sports. These are, as I understand, the current all-singing, all-dancing, thrust-vectoring crazy planes. And yes, we've got Top Gun music again. Luckily though, there's some footage with the copyrighted music all but drowned out. So I'll cut to that, as the noises these things make are really rather special. That whistle on the spool down is great. I'm not sure what's going inside to do that, but I know I like it. The models even look somewhat like a real plane. With a grey paint job and some livery, they probably pass off for a standoff scale of some sort of jet. Next we've got another jet from Aero Sports. This one has a special feature too, but we'll get to that. It's an Easy Havoc. It's got a 110-inch span and weighs 45 to 50 pounds without fuel. The fuel tank is 6.5 litres, which takes the weight up to something really quite silly. Initially they didn't have permission to fly it at the show, as they needed an exception to fly certificate from the CAA. However, during a stream the PA guy, Nick Johnson, did on Facebook, they got a call saying it had been issued. So it's probably the first time it's been up at a UK show. Pretty neat. It looks a lot like the smaller sports jets, but due to the extra size, it really has an extra presence in the air. There's no rocking when the wind gets under it, it's extremely stable. Unfortunately we've got PA this time, so I can't just let it run. How about I upload an unlisted, unmonetized video with all the best bits, and stick a link in the description of this one? Yeah, I think that'll work. Now, the special feature is the cost. How about £19,000? At least that was a number being put across on the PA. Well, there was a fair amount of repetition during the day, so that's about the best of what's worth talking about. There was a lot of flying going on, but not a huge amount of models. They did keep things going with the models they had, and the sky was rarely quiet for long. As always, it's quite a good show. The ticket prices being lower than most does help quite a lot too. Now, I did buy myself a new toy, of course, one of these little UMX PT-17s. It's an older model now, and it's only got a cordless brush motor, but it should be a giggle. It was quite a bit cheaper than the average online store, so it had to be done. Only problem I found when I got home, it looks like it's been in stock for quite a long time. The clear plastic they used to protect the paint from rubbing on the polystyrene has in fact stuck to the paint. Peeling it off is going to take the paint off too. Not sure what I'm going to do with it. Might have to take it apart and repaint the fuselage, and maybe add a few details. It's going to be fun whatever we do though. But that's going to be it for this week. Next week we might just be down at Sumner's Ponds, a nice little show in Sussex. They should have some 1/5 scale petrol racing, planes, helis and rather a lot of boats. Should be good. Failing that, it's going to be back to the trailer as we've still got quite a bit to do. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, like if you liked, subscribe if you want to know when the next video goes up, and don't forget to click on that link in the description for the longer rough cut. Bye guys!